3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Layover Lounge. Here we meet with St. Mary's international students, faculty, alumni, and really dive deep into our ambitions, our dreams, learn about what's going on in campus in our international Rattler world. I'm Anne Faucett. I'm your host. I'm the director for the Center for International Programs. And today I have the pleasure of having Luis Ortega, one of our already alumni and back at St. Mary's for his grad school. So welcome, Luis.
Thank you for having me, Anne.
Please introduce, say where you're from and what you've studied.
So I'm Luis Ortega. I'm originally from Managua, Nicaragua. I graduated in 2024 on my undergrad from Finance and Risk at St. Mary's. I did my OPT for a year. That comes with my degree. And I just came back to school last semester, starting my graduate studies in industrial engineering management.
So really going from finance and working and now engineering?
I know.
How is that?
You know, I've been asked that a lot, honestly, whenever I decided to go for industrial engineering. And I kind of respond to people that, it's not really that I just changed from finance to engineering, because I did not like finance. But since St. Mary's offered this great, graduate program when it comes to engineering with the new building and everything,
Nice.
I think and especially since the career itself, it's industrial engineering management, it has that kind of background to what I was used to be, studying in the undergrad pretty much. So, I thought it was a pretty good complement to that finance and risk management undergrad. And, I decided to go for it. Most, if not all of my classmates are engineering undergrads, that are, pursuing a graduate degree in the engineering school. So I kind of had to catch up a little bit in my classes in some terms. Thankfully, I did manage to get over the first semester, which I think was going to be the hardest one, and just take it from there.
So you've got but there's still a couple, since it's management, you still felt like you weren't completely lost.
Yeah, no, 100%. One of the classes I took last semester was project management, pretty much.
Okay.
So, it goes deeper into actual long-term or short-term projects that companies do, but it has a sense of management because, you have to manage that project itself. And that obviously ties back to everything I learned in my undergrad on the business school.
Yeah. Do you wish maybe you would have studied engineering in undergrad, or what was the decision that you wanted finance?
Honestly, I've thought about it. I think maybe I would study engineering, or hopefully something related to industrial engineering, because it's not that finance was a bad degree for me. It's just, I think, if I want to expand my options to other industries, let's say, the raw materials or something, instead of the banking industry, which was pretty much that, or the insurance industry, the only two options that are whenever you study finance, But I kind of wanted to take a different route. That's why I, went for that industrial engineering. Maybe I would have studied undergrad now that I know how much it actually covers management stuff too. But I think there's a lot of industrial engineers that do not have that finance background,
Okay.
or the capacity, to, look at those numbers and see what's going on actually with the company. That's why it goes back to, I think, me thinking it's a, it's a good compliment. It complements a little bit, yeah.
Well, and when you're at maybe the table of, you've got a project, like you said, happening, and you have the engineers on one side, the business, and probably at least legal on the other side, you can understand the language and probably participate more in the conversation, you think?
Honestly, a big reason I went back to St. Mary's as well is just due to me being 4 years in the university, So I know my ways around, and I know how St. Mary's operates pretty much. And I find it pretty, comforting in a sense. Every office, or most of not to say all of them, but most of the office, are very welcoming, approaching. I've honestly never had an issue when it comes to talking to a staff member or even the professors,
Yeah.
That education-wise, St. Mary's, I think it's a great university. I've had that, been said to me previous times by friends and classmates. I think it's a tendency that people, whenever they go to St. Mary's, they, have this notion of, okay, this is private education and it's great education.
Very personable, basically.
Yep. That one-to-one connection with you, for example, which were the director.
Yeah, he wouldn't leave me alone. No,
I have that issue too. I tend to ask a lot of questions, but even with all of the questions I've asked since I've met you, it's not once I've received, oh, you're asking too many questions, Riz, or because people sometimes might have that less tolerance in those types of situations. And again, I've never had that experience with St. Mary's.
Yeah. Well, I think I know because we met because you were your junior year, right?
Yes.
Junior and senior year, which that's like a lot of decisions are going through, especially an international student, what you can do, what you cannot do, the opportunities, and, just like being able to explain that and feel comfortable enough to talk you through it. And then you came back, which was wonderful to hear. And so I think it's been like a great experience also like working with you and seeing you grow the last 3 years too. And then meeting your family in Nicaragua. So I know we just got back from Christmas. How was that?
It was great. I managed to go back home with Victor, my brother, for a month, honestly.
Yeah, which is nice.
It's been like 2 or 3 years maybe since I honestly went for more than 2 weeks. So, I definitely enjoyed it. Spent time with family most of the time. Going back to friends, that live back home. Went to the beach as well. So
that's nice.
You know how nice it is back in Nicaragua, the beaches. Only downside to the whole trip was the plane back to San Antonio and the 12-hour layover we had in Fort Lauderdale.
Yep. I mean, hence, kind of the name of the show, the Layover Lounge, because we never know where we're going to end up as a layover, how long we might get stuck somewhere. Not all of us can be in a lounge, but just having that, it's not always glamorous, right? The travel.
And we were so lucky and thankful that a family member lives in Fort Lauderdale. Mm-hmm. So, it's just a matter of, if you know someone, whether it's a friend or a family member, and they could help you, it's never bad to ask for help. So we reached out, and obviously the first thing I said is, of course, please come and stay with us. And at least you managed to sleep for a little bit. Because from 12 hours, we arrived like at 7 p.m. to Fort Lauderdale from Managua. But the line for, documentation.
Pretty long.
It was like a 2.5 hour wait.
Yeah, I could see that.
And for some reason, because Fort Lauderdale usually is not that busy, or at least it didn't used to. Mm-hmm. But, it was like never seen before. So instead of us leaving the airport like at 8:30 we were aiming perhaps, we ended up leaving like at 11:30, 12,
So you got a few hours of sleep.
We just got a few hours of sleep. They made us dinner,
nice.
And I managed to take a shower in the morning the next day, which that was like a game changer. But yeah, that's been honestly one of the worst flights back I've had in the 5-6 years that I've been in San Antonio, because no one likes a 12-hour layover.
No, so. At least like San Antonio airport, super quick to get through. So at least that's that.
It is pretty quick, especially since we were already inside the U.S. Mm-hmm. Just going to San Antonio, you just pick up your luggage and you're good to go.
And you start classes today, right?
Yes.
Yep. Which class?
Human factors.
What does that even entail? I'm not an engineer. I study business like you. So, I mean, I'm not anything in the sciences.
So it's called human factors ergonomics. I'm about to learn about the topic, but the general notion I know about the class and the subject is trying to make things simpler. Okay. Systems or operations, try to find a way to make them more convenient and simpler in every single aspect, cost-wise, quality-wise, that remains the same, good quality. Mm-hmm. But it's the study of that. So, the thing about the graduate program, it offers you a whole list of classes related to industrial engineering that you can take. but obviously they're completely separate from each other at the end. So that's something that I really liked about, St. Mary's and what they had to offer before deciding to go back to St. Mary's, because you can take your own path pretty much.
So you get electives, like you get to kind of pick and choose maybe what you find more interesting, passionate about, probably like in business. Like I know you have your set, but you did finance.
Yeah.
I did more business administration. So it was kind of more general, but I got to kind of pick and choose a few things. Is that still kind of how graduate school is?
Pretty much. I mean, the degree itself is industrial engineering, but I took a mechanical engineering class last semester.
Oh, okay.
Because there's certain basics I think it's okay to know, even if you're not dedicating yourself to that area. Because I don't see myself being a mechanical engineer, but it's definitely a lot of information that I learned that I'll find useful in future, classes or even in the professional workplace. But I can just stick to industrial engineering moving on from this semester till I graduate. I could add a few system and software engineering classes, a certain, an additional mechanical engineering class. So there's a bit of everything, and that's, lets you play around with the classes.
Yeah.
And it's not like a strict, list of classes you have to take, but more of where you see yourself in the next 2 years, pretty much.
Okay. Do you have any engineers in your family?
Not really. I mean, most of, my dad is a business major, and he's always done business administration. He had his own company, and he, works for himself. So ever since we were little, we were introduced to that kind of, proactive environment, pretty much. Mm-hmm. And that just resonates into, our educational career and.
I do find when I travel down to Central America, it's really like two different, it's business or engineering or something in the sciences, the STEM area. It's, sometimes you get no middle ground on any of the liberal arts, even though I think we do a good job with our liberal arts education to kind of help, enhance like your communication skills and things like that with our students. So, but yeah, it's almost like every time I go down and meet parents, like they own their own business or like, that's like what you're going to study. So.
Yeah, I mean, definitely public speaking skills are, I used to struggle with that. And I even struggle today, it's not a thing that it ever goes away when it comes to maybe getting nervous for a podcast with the director of international studies at St. Mary's. No, I'm just kidding. But, it's always good to work on it at the moment, and it's just a matter of experience, and you start getting experience and, you get comfortable at least at a certain point while talking to the public. Even in the classes, 15 students max, 20 students. So if you have to present or something, like you said before, it's more personal when it comes to the interactions. You get to know your classmates, they get to know you.
Yeah, you can't hide.
So, you kind of have to set some standards, especially since you want to succeed in college and eventually, have a great professional career.
Did you find, so when you home over Christmas, I'm sure you're talking to a lot of friends, family about like what you're studying. Did you find that, a lot of the things that happen in other countries like are kind of similar, like especially the field of engineering or business, like it was pretty easy to have those cross-cultural conversations of what you're studying and what your ambitions are? Yeah,
I mean, there's business and engineers everywhere in the world, Obviously, for the past 6 years, I've been exposed to the United States workplace, if you want to put it that way. Because I had my internships in my undergrad in 2 summers in the wealth management area. So going back to Nicaragua and trying to see how business is done and everything, it definitely, they go hand by hand pretty much. And even though there might be completely different industries, let's say the, agricultural industry back home is a big thing, for example. Doesn't mean that in the United States, it's not. In Texas, it's a big industry as well, but in certain areas, it's just not the thing, But it's still business. It's still, you still need engineers for planification of projects or ideas you want to make a reality. So the more you know, the better you get to talk to people, the better informed you are. I think it's always good to learn every single day something new. No, doesn't matter how small. And I love learning stuff, you know. That's why I love asking questions.
Well, if you go from business engineering, you really want to learn new things.
Yeah, and honestly, I had so much fun. My favorite class last semester, I had two favorite classes pretty much. It was mechanical engineering, and even though it was the hardest one, because it was, I just found it so interesting, you know, how the products and materials work and how the industry gets to operate with them and, you know, mold them or shape them. Mm-hmm. And the other one was user interface design, which pretty much is the study or designing pretty much, whether it's a website, an application, an app, or even a physical product, to the best possible way for the customer. I wanted to say how, for example, in the new engineering building, they have this new lab which they analyze your eyes. They put you in front of a screen, they analyze your eyes, and they put you like a website. So this website, you know, you start scrolling and using it just to see how the interaction with that software is. And this machine is basically scanning your eyes and gives you a heat map of what caught your attention.
Map of my eyes.
A heat map of your eyes, and it pretty much tells you, okay, you spent the most time in this top left corner, or you know, you
scrolled and you stopped.
You stopped for 3 seconds to stop and you watch this ad, for example. So everything we see, everything we use has that kind of study behind it for months, even years sometimes. That's why they say, you know, a good design has a lot of longevity pretty much.
Okay. But in your class, like, are most of the students like, what are you, 23, 24?
23.
So, I mean, or is it kind of an age range? Because that's probably going to differentiate, won't it?
There was a small age range. I mean, maybe 19, 20 to 26, 27.
Okay.
I had in some classes, you know, even 30, 40-year-olds.
So I'm thinking if I review a website, you and I are probably going to maybe scroll differently. I don't know. So
yes, because so for example, in this UX design class, I love that many of the classes were interactive, and they brought, like Dr. Aktunch, he, you know, brought guests from the industries. He brought an HEB person, he brought a USAA person. So in all of those guest speakers, we had some kind of study pretty much that tied back to the UX design class. And one of the ones, actually the one with the laboratory I just mentioned, was with the HEB, and I'm sorry, the USAA studying HEB website. So we got into HEB. Actually, I was one of the participants in using the machine, and they just gave us they gave us a set of, you know, tasks pretty much. Find this brand of cereal
on their website.
On the website, on the
and
HEB.
Texans are obsessed with HEB.
On the HEB website, change the location to this location, or, you know, basic commands. Mm-hmm. And it was me and two other classmates. And, you know, what we found the most interesting is that the three of us did a completely different thing for all the three tasks. Or we found a different way to do it. You
know, I did something like this kind of at a high school in Mexico, actually. I gave a presentation about kind of navigating a website, like for admission purposes. And I actually found it really interesting. I'd say, okay, find this on the website. And some students looked it up the same way, but some, they're like, well, this is how I searched for it, and this is how I got to it. And so it was interesting actually for me to see how they search our own website. And it's crazy to think there's a whole, you know, career about it. Yeah. Because, you know, UX designers are, you know, at this decades ago, but now specifically without technology is, you know, shaping in the last few years. You know, UX designers are very important for the success of companies that want your constant attention. Oh, yeah. You know, TikTok, Instagram, all those social media accounts, they're tailored for you to keep scrolling, and that has a whole study behind it. And, you know, that's one of the branches of engineering I could go towards within the industrial engineering side, you know, like UX design.
And yeah, this semester is a bit different in the classes, but I'm just eager to see how it goes.
I was like too, because you have some new roles within the department. You're going to have some research opportunities that you're responsible for and work more closely with our faculty. So
yes,
that's really good.
So I got a graduate research assistantship within the engineering school. I applied last semester, and by December I got the news. And pretty much that's just going to give me an additional opportunity to learn more, because I'll be hoping the lab, for example, all the labs or most of the labs, I'll be working, to set them up, and obviously I have to learn how they work to their entirety. But aside from that, you get to research in a specific topic or a specific project, which that's to be determined yet.
Okay.
I'm still working on it, but you'll be working on that for the following months, even semesters. And you get to have an even deeper connection with the professors in the engineering school, which St. Mary's already provides. But having this, because it's also pretty much a part-time job, 20 hours a week I have to,
Oh yeah, I know. They put you to work when you get those assistantships.
I think I'll be good handling both classes and the GRA, but I'm excited for that opportunity. I think it's definitely a great professional educational asset I'm gonna have in both right now and in the future. So that's just one of the many great things St. Mary's has provided to me, and I know many of its students. I did have a question I forgot to ask ever since I've met you, honestly. How long have you been at St. Mary's, or what's your story with St. Mary's?
So my story is, I have known of St. Mary's for actually a really long time, because I used to work at a different university, but we would travel together to Central America for the most part. And but I have been in international higher education since 2012, and I love it. Never a dull day, even if it's like a situation that you don't want to happen with a student. Never a dull day, always keeps me on my toes. The travel's not bad, and I've been at St. Mary's since 2023. Took a different career shift, went to secondary ed, then came back to higher ed. I think I actually missed more of the more adult conversations, to be honest. Not that I don't love, working with high school students to get them interested in college, but once they get to university, it's very different.
Yeah, it is.
And I've loved it. It's I've always been in Catholic education, and so that's something that I'm also passionate about. I did not attend St. Mary's, but I did go to a Catholic university. And so it's just been wonderful to be at St. Mary's and meet great students like you, and even meet your family. I've met your family. And so, yeah, that's kind of how I ended up here.
I think we can both agree that Nicaragua is the best Central American country. Right?
I can't have everyone on my show say that.
No, I mean,
I do love Nicaragua.
It's great, and I know you like it. It's great.
The people are amazing, wonderful people to get to know. I love going back. I've now been able to visit a little bit more of the country. I've been to Chinandega, Managua. I've been to the lake, like the giant lake that you guys have.
Cocibolca.
Yes. And what's the Pollo?
Tip Top?
No. The bay area, like it's kind of like a lagoon. Laguna de Pollo.
Oh, Laguna de Pollo.
Yes,
I thought you said pollo like as in chicken.
Well, I mean, chicken.
It's okay. So, Laguna de Pollo, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you go to you said you went to the slide?
I didn't do the slide. I went down there with a friend just kind of because we had a day. Mm-hmm. So, because you can go and do like day passes and stuff. Yeah, that was fun.
It is fun. We used to go a lot to that lake and, just spend the day there and just go back. Because it's like 20 minutes from
Managua. Yeah, it's not far.
It's pretty close. Like it's the volcano and, some beaches.
Yep. But yeah. Well, I thank you so much for being our guest, and especially the first episode. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. You've been great ever since, we've met you, as you are with all students. That's a fact as well. So, thank you for your work as well. It's really appreciated. And thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, that was the Layover Lounge. Thank you for joining us. Please follow us on all of your preferred social platforms. You can see the description below. I'm Anne Faucett, and thank you, Luis, for joining us.
Thank you.
Bye.
3, 2, 1.